Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to welcome you to the show and the studio, the new studio for the new season, Friday ahead of the kickoff, right across Saturday, Sunday and Monday, Ruffy.
Yeah, I have to say the new studio is very relaxing, very comfortable, isn't it? You know, Tam's obviously...
It needs like some spa music in that, you know.
I think so. I think it looks great. Fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. We are extending and improving our technology as we speak, Ruffy, which is great, and we've got lots of things to talk about. Of course, the main headlines getting back to the start of the new season. Brendan Rodgers has thrown down the gauntlet to the Celtic board. We'll discuss that. Russell Martin looking for improvement domestically for Rangers after the high of getting through and getting past Panathinaikos. And of course, David Gray says Hibs need to focus on Dundee before Belgrade beckons in their European adventures after the disappointment of a wonder goal that knocked them out of the Europa League last night at Easter Road, and that was a sensational game against Michelin. We'll talk about that. And well done to Dundee United. They get past Unastrassen in the Conference League. So lots to dominate our thoughts. But right now, the champions will unveil at 4:30 on a Sunday. It's quite unusual, but that's the nature of it. The champions, Celtic, will unveil they'll unfurl the flag. And guess who's going to unfurl the flag, Ruffy?
Yeah, I saw that this morning, flying them in from Australia, where he now lives, Paul McStay.
Yeah.
The Hat.
The Hat will be back to unfurl the title flag, and then from there it's up and running against St Mirren. But Tam, the one thing that we have to discuss is the comments that's come out of Celtic's press conference. This is what Brendan Rodgers had to say today when asked about, obviously, that final year that everybody's been talking about. I'm not the type of manager that's good at maintaining anything, so if it's just something to maintain, I'm not the manager for Celtic. It'll be someone else. To build, grow, develop and push. I love being at Celtic. My ambition is for Celtic. It's not for me. I've been in the game quite a long time now, so I think I understand what we need to succeed. So basically, Brendan Rodgers, here it goes, final year of his contract, throwing down the gauntlet, give me the players I want, or there'll be no discussions about a new deal.
Yeah, I think he's just echoing what the Celtic fans are thinking, Peter. You know, Celtic fans are ambitious. They want to go and push to the next level. They know they've dominated domestically. Brendan Rodgers is the same. You know, they've got everything tied up here. They want to go and try and go to the next level in European football. Now, what that is and how much money that's going to take, I don't know. You know, they got to the knockout stages last season, put in a magnificent performance against Bayern Munich and really pushed them all the way. To go to the next level, to get better than that, how much do you need to spend, Peter? Do you need to spend another 40, 50, 60 million? How much does Brendan, how much has he asked the board for? That's what we need to know. No, it's okay being ambitious, but Celtic are always a club that's ran within their means. So if Brendan's going in there and asking for 40, 50 million pound to spend, I don't think that's going to happen. So listen, Brendan is ambitious, Celtic are ambitious, Celtic fans are ambitious, but there's got to be a ceiling, I think, for Celtic, and I think that maybe Celtic are at it at the minute and maybe Brendan's at it.
Well, I have to say to you that we don't have to wait too long, Ruffy, for this, because quite simply it's only 1 month. If we're going to find out if it's the last dance, because we'll find out on the 1st of September if he's got the players that he wants. When he walks into the press conference, any journalist worth their salt just says to Brendan Rodgers, are you happy that Celtic have met your ambitions with the signings you have made?
Yeah, I think as it stands at the moment, he's obviously not happy. You'd be scratching your head, you know, wondering why it hasn't happened. You know, you look at all the other clubs. Most of the other clubs all can bring in players whenever they want, and we know it takes time, and if you're going for a bigger player, it maybe take longer to get them over the line, different wages, different contracts, that kind of thing. But you would think that the Celtic would have had all that in place, particularly Brendan Rodgers has probably given them a slip of paper with 4 or 5 players that he wants and another 4 or 5 if he doesn't get them. So then you have to say to yourself, why? Who's making it take so long?
I don't think Brendan Rodgers has asked for 40, 50 million, although, by the way, Tam, they could afford that. But, you know, I reckon Celtic, even when their next set of financial figures will show that they've got a healthy amount of money in the bank, the big pressure that comes with him throwing down the gauntlet is quite simply that he'll want those 2 or 3 players that he thinks are the genuine quality that can get him onto the next level, whether that's a winger, a striker, a defender. He'll want somewhere in the region of, upwards of 6 million for each individual. I would suggest to you that he'll want to get in there, and he'll certainly want a striker of note. I think at that point, he'll just start to, if he doesn't get those players, he'll just start to go through the motions again of, okay, this will be the departure, and then all these thinly veiled swipes as each Champions League game goes a-begging, if indeed they get there.
Yeah, I think the problem you've got, Peter, when you're talking about those type of players, the finished article, the guys that come in and go straight into your team.
I don't think 6 million is a finished article, Tam. I think he's still looking for projects, but the projects are at a different level. They've got a little bit of a standing in saying that, they've maybe scored 20, 30 goals elsewhere. They're not absolutely the top drawer that the 5 big countries are looking at. There is a level below that I think he's realistically saying, well, here's somebody that's not going to get into the Tottenham side. They've maybe banged in 20, 25 goals. Or, here's another situation, here's somebody that is part of a squad that's really top drawer, but can't get into a Liverpool team, so can we have him for the season? It's got to be something like that, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think the supporters see that. They just look at the money. They look at the money that's there, and it's their money that they're putting in, so they expect a 12 million or a 10 million. That's the expectation. And if Brendan Rodgers is hinting that we're not going to go any further unless we get better quality in, and sometimes you've got to pay for that quality, and the big question is, why are the board not doing it?
I think he'd be looking for more than a 6 million, Peter. I think when you look at the last couple, 9 million for Ida, 11 million Engels. I think that Brendan will be looking at the £10 million marker to go and buy a striker for 10 million or 12 million. No, you can get younger players like an Adam Ida or an Engels who haven't really established themselves, who've got great potential because they're not on big wages. But if you went to go and buy a 25, 26-year-old with a decent pedigree for 10, 12 million, Celtic couldn't afford his wages.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be too enamoured with just the likes of a Shin Yamada. No harm to the boy. He is a player that obviously is exciting, speedy, powerful, but I think they're looking for someone that's. I always look at these games and I say to myself, Celtic are judged, Ruffy, on those big games when everybody's buying the Champions League tickets. There's a level above, and Shin Yamada will want to come in and try and make an impression in domestic football first, and I think there's another level above that Rodgers is looking for players that can make an impact and do what they did in the Allianz Arena, but maybe go out. Are they capable of going a step further, or is it just the luck of the draw?
No, I think when you get into the games against Bayern, and you're looking for that striker that's going to win you games. I don't think any of the strikers that Celtic have got now at that level are capable of scoring that goal that could have got them to beat Bayern. I think they're good players, particularly domestically, but when you go against that level, you need somebody with a proven track record at European football who can get that goal when it's nothing each or one each or whatever, and that was very evident at Bayern.
I think they were fortunate, Peter, in the draw last year.
Yeah,
I think they were. I think when you look at the clubs that were in there, the big clubs, Liverpool, PSG's, Barcelona's, Real Madrid's, teams like that, Celtic avoided them all. They got Atlanta, they got Borussia Dortmund, who are good size, but they're not that top level. And I thought Celtic, particularly the home games they got, I thought they were fortunate with the draw, but they went and done the business anyway, and they got into a situation where they played Bayern Munich over 2 legs with nothing really to lose, and they done really well. And I think if you want to go a step further than that, I think it's an astronomical amount of money, Peter. If you're saying to me you need to get into the last 32 or last 16 in the Champions League, I think Celtic would need to spend an astronomical amount of money to better what they've done last year.
Yeah,
I do.
I think the biggest problem here is only Celtic could get to a situation. We sometimes talk about Celtic fans and that entitlement, but they've won 13 out of the last 14 titles, Ruffy. So domestically, sometimes I think some fans look upon it as a failure if they don't win the treble. But domestically, even with the squad they have at the moment, they'll be looking and saying, well, okay, it could be a tight run with Rangers, but they still think they're good enough. They've got a Kieran Tierney, Benjamin Nygren. I think Enamura, the centre-backs, come in as well. They've still got a title-winning side that's there. But again, the difficulty comes when you have a manager who's already just put it out there. The Celtic fans have got the taste of Europe. They're asked to pay top drawer to go and see these games. The St Mirren one will be nice for Celtic to start off and domestically, but they'll look and they'll say, okay, there's one qualifier to come, and they want Champions League, and they want players that they think will maybe get them the same, a knockout game.
Yeah, I think the Celtic supporters have now been brought up and they want to be there. You know, I don't think they want to think that they expect them to go into the last 16 or anything like that. I think they've just witnessed what it's like to have these games at Parkhead and the away games, you know, and I think they all buy into it. It's always full months and months in advance, and if you get a big one in your bit, it adds to it. But I just think there's a lot of apprehension now about getting there. You know, that this game that's coming up it's put so much pressure on it now to win it, whoever it is that they get. And then the other thing as well is they're looking over their shoulders at Rangers now. Are Rangers getting their act together? Are the players that they're bringing out for England good enough to challenge? And we'll find that out in the first game at Ibrox, you know, when that comes along. And just say for talking sake, if Celtic were to lose that, then you start pressing panic buttons. When you shouldn't be pressing buttons, you should be organised enough to take all these games on board.
It's an opening game against St Mirren. We've mentioned that Paul McStay is the man who's going to unfurl the Scottish Premiership flag. And then from there, it's about Celtic against Stephen Robinson, St Mirren. Of course, Saints' boss is looking to spoil that party again.
Somebody's certainly testing us, I know that. I think our first 5 games are... first 4 games were against the top 3 in the league last year, and Hearts in the cup. But you have to play people at some stage. We haven't lost a game to anybody in the top 6, and we got a point at Celtic Park. You know, so we're there to spoil the flag day. We're not there to make up numbers. And you know, I'd like to think that Brendan knows we will come and we will have a real go and try and put them under pressure. But we know the task we face. We give them total respect. They're not champions for no reason. You know, arguably the best team in the country. Not arguably, they are the best team in the country. So we have to be at the very best and the very top of our game to get anything out of it.
Has to go to St Mirren because he's just worked wonders there time and time again. And I look and I see his signings and I'm saying to myself, okay, you know, there's a few in there. I mean, I think Malik Dicksteel is certainly one.
Careful with that one.
Yeah, exactly, or Dykesteel. Some of the names this season are going to cause us a lot of problems, but nevertheless, there's a few exciting players that he's brought in there, and the Saints fans will be hoping that he can replicate his magic again.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's remarkable what he's done at St Mirren, you know, to get them into the top 6, I think 3 seasons in a trot, get them into European football, you know, a club that was a little bit of a yo-yo club for a while, you know, bounced into the Championship, back into the Premiership. You know, he's not got a big budget there, you know, he's really punching above his weight, but you just wonder how many rabbits he can keep pulling out of the hat. You know, he's doing it every season, and he's setting himself even a bigger bar this season to get in the top 6 again. St Mirren fans will be disappointed if they're not in there, so listen, Stephen's done an incredible job, him and Brian Kerr in there, and they've got a really good setup. Keith Lasley, you know, running the club as well from the top. So yeah, they're a well-run club and they do things right. They've got a great scouting network. You know, I think John Park's in there, involved with St Mirren now as well, which is a massive addition for them. So yeah, I'd expect St Mirren again to give a few teams some bloody noses this season and cause a few upsets, but I don't see it on Sunday at Parkhead. But you know, who would bet against them finishing in the top 6 4 seasons in a trot?
Yeah, I mean, 6th was great last season for them.
I was impressed with them last year. I thought they were good. In the early doors, obviously, when Aberdeen and Hibs and Hearts hadn't got their act together, they were the only team that were giving Rangers and Celtic a bit, not a doing, but they were giving them a game and picking points up against them. I think, again, they'll be in the top 6. I think they could be the surprise package to mess up Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen. I think this is the year we'll be looking at, right, we've been in the top 6. That's great. Let's go a step further. Let's jump above Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen. Let's see if we can grab a higher place.
Do you think they're capable?
Yeah, I think they are. I think as Tam said, I think the recruitment's been good. Obviously, we've got to see these new guys in action, but certainly last year the players that he brought in put up a good show.
Okay, give me a prediction.
For the top,
Celtic against St Mirren.
I think Celtic will win on open day. You've got to win Flag Day. You've got to, and the whole place will be buzzing. Particularly be Paul being there, and they'll expect it. But I think St Mirren will give them a good account of themselves. We're just waiting to see the Celtic team that turns up, but it's near enough the same team as last year.
Yeah.
Apart for the two wide players, it is nearly the same team, or the same 8 or 9 or 10. So I wouldn't expect to be any change in that. And some of the results they had, apart from the Ajax game, were pretty impressive. So I would think the home advantage, I think St Mirren might be up against it. I don't think it'll be a big score.
Yeah, did you think that was? You said that it's just more or less the same team. Do you think there's a flatness around the Celtic fans at the moment?
Only because of the signing. They want a signing. They want a big signing. You look at the Celtic team. It picks its styles. Michael, Johnson, Tierney, Vickers, the three in the middle. We're waiting to see. Obviously, Engels gets that shout over the new boy.
Yeah.
But it's the wide players that they got all the success this year, and the two best ones aren't there now.
Yeah. Tierney will create a huge fanfare on the day.
I mean, to get a player like that, Peter, from the English Premier League, it's unheard of for a club like Celtic. A guy to peak his career, and it's only because he's love for Celtic that he's back at the club. He's made a few quid down there. He can come back. I'm sure he's not on a poor wage at Celtic either, but he's come up on lesser money and he just wants to play for the club. Celtic fans love him, adore him, and he was part of an Arsenal team that went very, very close in the Champions League last year. So. Yeah, I think he's a brilliant signing, and he's the one flagship one for Celtic so far. He comes in and really improves the team. He's the only one for me at the minute who's done that. And Ruffy's right. The likes of Yang, guys like that have been starting in pre-season. Been interesting to see who he lines up. Does he play Maeda through the middle? Does he play Ida through the middle? Play Maeda wide? It's interesting to see what his team is. But if guys like Yang and Ralston and that are still playing, I don't think the Celtic fans are going to be too happy.
Prediction?
Yeah, I think this is the right time for St Mirren to get Celtic, simply because St Mirren have been playing competitive games in the League Cup. Celtic haven't. They've been playing friendlies. So I think they're running them close, but I'll go for maybe 2-0 to Celtic.
2-0, okay. Can't see anything other than that. Give us your prediction on it. Don't forget, on PLZ Soccer, if you hit the subscribe button on our channel, you'll join the football family. We had fantastic figures last year, of course, bringing you news from all of the games, managers, players' reaction as well. And as you no doubt are aware, all you have to do is watch and see what the rest of the media is doing. They're just copying what PLZ Soccer are doing, Ruffy. Who would have thought 13 years going into season 14? And everybody's just looking and thinking, let's have a look at, see what they're doing, and then we'll just fire out and copy it.
I don't think anyone will have as big a screen as that.
Yeah, we're going to do magnificent things with that. Tam is going
to see a telly bigger than mine. I've got my living room.
Absolutely.
I've got an 80-inch, but I think that's about 150.
Don't worry, we'll never be able to get the Russian satellite that you've just given everybody the details to at the start of the programme. Anyway, apart from that, if you want to hit the subscribe button, we can offer you competitions, prizes and much more content on PLZ Premium. There's lots of one-to-one special programming. The journos in there, straight talk as well, and lots of chances to win, as we have competitions aplenty in PLZ Premium. A chance for you to support everyone. And Willie says, who's copying PLZ like? Willie, you only have to go and look right across your social media and you'll find exactly what's happening. But we're delighted, Willie, that you're with us. That's one thing. Hi to Catherine, who's from sunny Spain, who's following us. There's so many people who've been following.
Viewer, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, there's been so many people, Ruffy, down through the years. We talk about the people that have supported us on the podcast, on the radio show as well, and now all the way through in PLZ.
Yeah, well, we're giving them something, as you said earlier, that a lot of people aren't. They're getting, the content, that they're not getting wherever they're living, and we're doing it every day. No, there's no doubt there's anybody else doing it every day with different content all the time. So they're buying into it, because when you're away from home, you just want to know what's happening at home.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, a lot of people from right across the globe following us, and of course a huge amount of people in Scotland showing us their support. We're absolutely delighted. You'll get opinion, and of course that opinion sometimes get barred, Tam, but we've got to stick to our guns and be impartial, balanced, and that's what being good journalists is all about.
Yeah, I mean, I just never thought I'd see the day that you were barred from Celtic and you were in at Rangers, Peter, but fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strange.
That's it. It is. Thanks for pointing it out. Nevertheless, yeah, absolutely. Year 3 of being barred at Celtic, and let me tell you right now, we'll be barred forever, Ruffy, if Brendan Rodgers decides that he's not happy at the end of this month with his transfer, Kitty, and his players. Because I think, good coach that he is, he'll have a real desire to get 2 or 3 players that he wants to take the team on and better them in European football. And if he doesn't get them, I don't think he'll be... I think this is his final year anyway. But if he doesn't get the players he wants, the biggest thing that will happen right away is a number of fans are going to switch their anger towards the board, not to Brendan Rodgers.
No, you're right. I think at this moment in time, a lot of them are very angry that there hasn't been a lot of movement. Again, results on the park will determine when it turns into a frenzy. If you don't win games, it directs to a particular person, whether it's the manager or the board or whatever. So we're not hearing anything for the board. We're hearing everything for Brendan.
Yeah.
We're not hearing anything for there comes a stage when the board have got to come out and say, let's clear this up. We're actively trying to sign 3 players, blah, blah, blah.
Member of the board?
Well, I don't know who it would be. I don't know. Maybe your pal. I don't know who it will be.
Do you know any member of the board that's going to speak?
Well, somebody has to. Somebody has to keep the fans on board, because, as I said, there is a time, if you don't get results and you start losing games, and people want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thanks to so many people who are very complimentary about us being back. Absolutely. Thanks to Willie also, who is a long-time viewer. And we're delighted, Willie, and so many others are with us. And if you get a chance, then why not join us on PLZ Premium as well, because we are going to be interviewing so many different people along the way. Interesting chat there as well. And a great line here from a guy, on Twitter, and you can sometimes have a tagline, it's never your name. Smell the Glove says, it's great, Peter and Hugh Keevan stuck in the car park outside Paradise.
Listening to the game on the radio.
The next move has to be a disguise. You have to go in under a...
What?
No, like what did you call him? Peter Sellers. Remember the Peter Sellers disguise that you would never know. And
What, a Dustin Hoffman?
And just sit there. And just sit there and go, cry. If you're not identified, maybe brilliant.
Do you think I should do it as a
you go
should I do it as a TikTok, Ruffy?
Yes.
Where I get dressed up and
just go in as a, the Mission Impossible. Where he,
absolutely. It can't be any worse, Ruffy, than dressing up in an Aberdeen top last season.
Oh, you did
I opened
that.
my big fat mouth and mentioned that there's no way Aberdeen will beat Celtic in the cup final. And then it cost me about 65 quid to buy a bloody retro Aberdeen top. Couldn't find one anywhere at the time. It was a nightmare.
Yep, you certainly made a mess of that one, Peter, and all of us fancied Aberdeen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you did. Rangers head to Motherwell. And I have to say that, Panathinaikos, we predicted it earlier on in the week. I thought Rangers would get the draw and get through. It was a bit scare 'em, to be honest with you. And I think Russell Martin is right to point out the team is in this very, very much in an embryonic stage. He's got to mould it, tweak it, get players in, and I think they'll get stronger and better. It's not the finished article. Right now, at the back, Ruffy, it's bomb scare stuff.
No, I think 27, 28 minutes the other night there, it was a bit ropey. They were trying to play out for the back, and sharper players were catching them out. You can see they're now playing a very, very high press. They're playing that high press that Celtic play when the centre halves are up in the halfway line, but it's very evident a ball over the top. There's not a lot of pace there. It'll be interesting to see if they continue to play that against certain teams. But we said the first goal was going to be important. Fortunately for Rangers, it wasn't until the second half You know, I think once they get the first half out the road, they'd settled a wee bit, started getting a wee bit of confidence, and certainly getting the goal 2 minutes after they scored, you know, put everything up against them having to come up with the goods, and they just didn't have it. So on a whole, yeah, you're right, there's a lot of players still to come back in. Again, the Rangers supporters will be wondering what's happening with Dessers and what's happening. They will want to move them on, you know, so they'll be anxious as well for seeing the window shut and seeing who's coming and going.
I thought Judy Gassama, he looked the part. He scored in a couple of games, but I thought technically the way he dispatched the ball into the back of the net was top drawer, Tam.
Yeah, it was, and he started in flying form. That's what you want at a new club, Peter. You know, and he came with a big reputation from Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, they've had a lot of financial problems, you know, and they're letting a lot of players go. They got him for pretty cheap, it looks like at the minute. And he's came in, he scored 2 goals in 2 massive games for Rangers, and he's became a fan's favourite already. And I think you need that when you go to Celtic and Rangers. You need to start well, you need to get the fans on side and get them behind you, and that gives you confidence as well. So, no, he looks like a real prospect at the minute, Peter, and I don't think he's anywhere near fit. I think if he was really 100% fit, he'd be playing at the minute. So I think he's just trying to bleed him in, maybe give him 20-25 minutes, impact sub. But I think once he's fully fit, I think Rangers are going to have a really, really good player in their hands. Yeah,
and they brought in Mikey Moore from Tottenham Hotspur, 17-year-old wonder kid. Always treat that with a certain amount of scepticism, but there's no doubt about you know, how highly Tottenham rate him. And I think from Russell Martin's point of view, he's just said in the press conference that he's not there to actually nurture a player for the benefit of Tottenham. He wants him to help get Rangers where they want to be, which is ultimately Champions League group stages. I know Max Aaron's been mentioning that as well, that they want Rangers to be in the Champions League. That's why he's there.
Yeah, I like him, Peter. I've seen him a few times at Tottenham last season. You know, Ange Postecoglou obviously had quite a large amount of games, you know, being in that Europa League section, and you know, he played in a lot of games in Europe, and I like the look of him. You know, he looks sharp. He's only 17, but he didn't look 17 years old. He looked physically strong as well. He was quick, looked quite lively, and scored a couple of goals for him. So no, I like him. I think he's a good player. Whether he's going to go in as Rangers' main number 9, I don't think so. I think that'll probably still be Dessers if he's still there, but I think he's certainly a player that's got massive potential, and he can come up here. Obviously, I think Scottish football is easier than English Premiership. If he's down on the fringe of Tottenham, then he should come up here and find it a little bit easier, you know, playing for a club like Rangers. But yeah, I think he's a very, very big prospect for Tottenham and for Rangers now on loan.
Yeah, here's what the Rangers manager has had to say about the start of the season. He's been talking today at the press conference in the last half hour.
I think we can help Marky, but most importantly, he can help us win on the pitch. We're not here to just help other teams develop football players. We're here to win, and he can help us do that. And if we can win whilst developing people and players as well, then I think that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, got it in, Ruffy. He's just finished that press conference, so we managed to get it into the show.
Yeah, I think he's got to be relatively confident in what's happened, you know, and we know there'll be a lot of tweaks here and there. We won't really know the real Rangers until we get a settled 11, you know, what his 11 is. We'll get a wee idea of that at the weekend when he picks his team. But no, I think most of the Rangers supporters are really confident where they were and where they are now. With the players that he's brought in, Jack Buckland in particular. I mean, at the end of the season last year, we were wanting another goalkeeper. You know, he's no good enough. He's no this. He's no that. We need another person. And then he has 2 very, very good games, and now he's the bee's knees, which is good for him.
At the end of last season, we were wanting another goalkeeper. Were you hoping for a goalkeeper for Rangers?
Do you mean the wee there? Did I say wee?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Another goalkeeper for the
No,
I.
Sure his colours down.
All
coming out now.
You'll be all right getting into Ibrox, Ruffy. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. By the way, just out of curiosity, you're absolutely right. I mean, somebody actually just mentioned here, I must read this out. It's just a line that came in. John, who's always giving us some good comments. Some of them are a bit mental, but John's made a point here which I think is worthy of reading out. He says, if Panathinaikos had put away even half their chances over the 2 legs, Russell Martin would be under pressure already. I mean, to be honest with you, over the 2 legs, Ruffy, Panathinaikos had 34 shots against Rangers, which, to be honest with you, at times they looked like a pub team with some of the chances they had. I mean, there was a boy, it was, 10 yards out. It was harder to miss. and he skied it over the bar. So I think that the immediate thing that Russell Martin will be looking at, albeit he was talking about Mikey Moore, who's the man of the moment, who's come in, I think he'll be looking and saying to himself, I need to find defenders.
Yeah, well, on the evidence the other week there, you're right. You know, if Panathinaikos in the first 30 minutes had taken even one of their chances and went 1-0 up in the first half, they might have went on and won the game. But I certainly think that you've got to build on it. You've got to say, right, we've won the game. The most important thing is we're in the next group. But test, I mean, I know it's Motherwell at the weekend, but that'll be a test. Motherwell won't lie down. So until the games start coming fast and furious, and the next results come in, you know, we won't really know where they are.
Yeah, Kerry Pollock, our reporter, has been out to find out what's happening at Motherwell.
The wait is almost over for Scottish football fans as the league campaign gets started this weekend as Motherwell host Rangers, with two new managerial faces coming head to head under the lights here at Fir Park on Saturday night, that being Motherwell's Jens Berthel Askew and Rangers boss Russell Martin. But the big question on the minds of Well fans will be, is Lennon Miller going to be involved this weekend? He hasn't featured for the Steelmen so far this season. In fact, his last appearance was the final game of last campaign up at Dingwall in that 1-1 draw against Ross County. And the Motherwell manager has confirmed that concrete bids have been made for the 18-year-olds.
A lot of things is going on and has been for a while, and it's getting the interest is increasing every day and every week for Lennon and for that situation around him, and we'll see when we can say more. But there's real concrete interest, and there has been some bids, and obviously it intensifies the situation around him.
Motherwell defender Liam Gordon says that topping their Premier Sports group gives his side confidence heading into their league campaign, and of course backs his side to get off to a good start this weekend.
I think you go into every game and you've got to back and believe in yourself. Like I said, it's been a good pre-season. Performances have been pretty good. Could obviously always be better. We take good confidence from the last game against Hertha, who are a very good opposition. Kind of a similar standard to what you'll be facing up against this coming weekend. So we held our own in that game, so there's no saying that we can't go on and do so again against Rangers.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what style of football Motherwell are going to play this season. But I think on the basis that Rangers are still to hit the groove, I think it's going to be a tight one, Rafi. I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers.
Yeah, I think Rangers will eventually win it, but I think Motherwell will make it very difficult. The first game of the season, every player should be up for it, and the challenge that's ahead, and you don't get a bigger challenge in playing one of the bigger two. You're grateful that it's at home with the majority of your fans there, so you want to put up a good show. The new signings are wanting to put up a good show as well. They've had relatively good results up until now, so I think they'll go into the game confident, but I think Rangers have the squad there and the big games under their belt that they'll go into this game hoping to win it. 2-1 Rangers.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-1 Rangers as well. I think they'll narrowly win it. I'm looking forward to seeing Motherwell. I've not really seen a lot of them. I've seen them against Peterhead. I wasn't that impressed with them, but you know, I think they're definitely improving. Great result against Morton. I think they beat them 3-0, and then drew with Hertha Berlin, who are a good side in Germany. So interesting to see how Jens goes about his business in terms of how he sets the team up. I think Rangers will just nick it, but I think they'll get run close.
Yeah, quite a lot of people asking Tam if there's going to be any kind of erratic movement on your hair front this season. Ruffy's gone for some short stuff at times, sometimes too short. What about yourself?
I was going to grow it, Peter.
I know you tried to go through that kind of a Scott Allen. You wanted that effect, didn't you?
Not quite as good looking as him, but I did try to do it last season, and then I got to the stage where I had to see it out, and I just couldn't, and I got it cut. I'm now back at that stage where it's grown a bit more, and I'm either going to go full hog, growing it long, or I'm going to crumble, bottle it, and get it shaved in again.
What about colour? Colour's always
seems to be going different colours at the minute. I can
grey.
stress it. There's a lot of grey at the side. I can stress there's no dye involved. I would not dye my hair.
Ever?
Have you? Well, I've dyed it. I did dye it for the show when I joined about 7 years ago, but I don't dye my hair. It just goes weird colours in the sun when I'm playing golf.
Right, okay.
So I can stress. A lot of my pals say to me, stop dyeing your hair. Even my dad says it. I don't dye my hair, I like to get that clear. Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, if your hair changes colour regularly because you're playing golf,
then we should see about 480 different colours over the course of the season, because that's all Tam and Ruffy do with their life. But nevertheless, thank you to so many of you. Kenny says, glad you're back. What did you do with the white sofa? Well, obviously, we just decided to change things up a wee bit. Lots of different... I like it. There's lots of different sets. Do you want to tell you something, Kenny? I'm going to actually be honest with you. The God's honest truth, the reason why we changed it to a black sofa is quite simply because Tam came in with trousers that always... stained the white leather, Ruffy, and you ended up having to clean it constantly. So I thought to myself, you know what, we'll get the black one and just see where it goes, and hopefully easier to clean, and hopefully as well it will hide the dye coming from Tam's hair as the season goes on. Season goes on as well. We'll find out. Anyway, so let's move on
to the Hibs game.
Yeah, well, let's move on to the Hibs game. By the way, I was there at Easter Road last night, and you know, a couple of things, Ruffy. You know, I have to say, there was a guy 3 rows in front of me, and all he did was just, I mean, he was out of his tree. I'm not sure if it was drink, but he just kept sucking on a vape, and it just kept whipping back, and it spoiled that part of it. It didn't spoil the game for me, because I'll tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, Michelin were top drawer as far as, you know, making it a really good game. Technically good players, and they had chances. Jordan Smith was magnificent for Hibs, and in the end it was agony, because it was 2 worldies that really knocked Hibs out of the Europa League.
Well, it was 3 worldies, Peter, because the first leg they scored a free kick for 25 yards. Hibs have had 2 goals disallowed over the 2 legs that were really tight as well. So listen, I think the best teams went through, and I'd love to sit here and say Hibs deserved to go through it. I thought the best team went through on the night and over the tie. But I thought Hibs done really, really well against them. I think, you know, went to 1-0 at extra time. I think a lot of people thought, well, that's it, done. But Hibs have got a wee bit of resilience about them, Peter. They've got a bit of character, a bit of grit. They don't know when they're beat, and that's a great trait to have. And then nice wee bit of magic for Eli Johan, you know, goes through and then cuts it back for Big Rocky, who I thought was going to be the hero again. But yeah, two world-class goals beat you. And sometimes you've got to hold your hand up, Peter, and say, listen, that's fair play to you. You know, you deserve it. That quality.
There's a European side, this. I
I
know they're not a big game, but every year they're in European football, so they've got the experience, and I suppose most of the players they've got have been there to get them through last night. They were right. I thought they looked a big, strong side. They looked very physical. They looked, you know, very confident on the ball.
But technically, Ruffy, the number 58, the wee boy Arel Shimshir, on the left-hand side, my God, he was technically so gifted. He was brilliant. And when they eventually got their equalising goal, very little backlift, but it was the first time that Hibs had let somebody get anywhere near with a free shot and goal, and he made them pay for it. The worldie overhead kick's just one of those ones where you just have to, you know, you just suck it up and just go agony. I mean, it killed the place. But I would say this, Tam, Hibs were really well organised.
I think he's excellent, Peter. I think he'd be a great signing for Hibs, even if he didn't go straight into the team. I think just his experience in the dressing room, you know, and about it, he can play in a back 4, a back 3. He's very, as you know, he's very good in the Scottish football, you know, as a physical league. So I think if Hibs can get that over the line, I think that'd be a great signing for them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the mark of the players and what they put in last night, every Hibs fan was up on their feet at the end, giving them a standing ovation, because they grafted and they knew they were up against a good side. And I think it's good times ahead for Hibs this season. I don't know what you think. Give us your thoughts on it as well. This is what David Gray had to say after the game.
Our job is to make sure we get around them, we rest, make sure the recovery's there. And the attention very quickly changes towards Dundee, so the fresh challenge of what that faces. But it's again the domestic stuff and how well we done last season. European is a reward. European ties is the reward for how well we done. So we need to make sure we start the season well.
Well, I think they're going to start the season well, and the big thing is I'm heading up to Dens Park, Ruffy, because that's where the story is, and we're only on the first game of the season. But how anybody could be looking?
Elvis would have rubbed his hands last night, but extra time.
Well, extra time, but how anybody can be putting, Stephen Presley under pressure just because they don't like the cut of his jib. I mean, he's just got to be given time. Let Stephen get his feet under the table. All the experience he's had at Brentford, let's see what he's got to offer and back him with good signings and give the boy a chance. I like him as a person anyway.
I like him as a person as well, but I don't think this Dundee support gave you any chance. They want win. They want you see you winning games. They're very vocal in everything that they do. They are a massive club. They've been in the doldrums for a right few years. They want to see a team that's up in the top 6. They want to see a team giving the bigger teams a game like they did last year against Rangers. But I think he's not under pressure, but he needs to win games.
Yeah,
he can't go like 3-4 games initially, without taking in at them.
Okay. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it's a blow in the League Cup, but he's got to get his players used to him.
I tend to agree. I love Elvis as well. I've worked with him at Falkirk for a lot of time for him. I kind of agree with Ruffy. He's not going to get a long honeymoon period at Dundee. I think it might possibly be even over already, but he needs to start well. If he does, fans will get behind him.
Don't throw in that line without backing it up.
No, he does.
I think it'll be over already.
No, I just think that the supporters are vehemently against him, and that's a big thing, Peter, at clubs. And I know Gordon Strachan and Tim Keys and guys at Dundee are strong-minded, but if the supporters are shouting and giving the manager abuse and already early in the season, then it's going to put pressure on the manager. But listen, I really, really hope Stephen does well at Dundee, but I do think he needs to get off to a decent start.
Yeah, Michael says, under Stephen Presley, I think Dundee are doomed. Lost too many of their best players and they haven't replaced them.
Totally agree with that, Peter. And I think that Dundee fans need to appreciate that they've lost some quality players. Lyle Cameron and Josh Mulligan were two of their best players last season.
And they lost
Larkesh. Yep, they lost
McCowan halfway through the season.
Larkesh, the full-back, way back down to QPR. They lost Adewemi, the striker from Burnley, who was excellent for them. Joe Shaughnessy's left. They've lost a lot of really good players, and they've kind of replaced them with younger players. A couple of guys come up from down south and abroad. So I don't think they're as good or as strong a squad as they were last season, Peter, and it's going to take time for them to gel and get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, give us a prediction, Ruffy. This is a belter. This is a tough one to predict.
I'm not too sure about this one.
All right, so you're just abstaining. What are you taking? The fifth?
No, I don't think Dundee will win.
You don't think Dundee will win?
I'm going to go for an away win.
2 results then.
Yeah. Hibs to win?
Yes.
1-0?
No, 2.
2-0. Right, okay, you're not too sure about this one, but it's a 2-0 win for Hibs.
Yeah, I fancy Hibs as well, Peter. I think there'll be some tired legs, Peter, from the game last night, but I think they'll take confidence from the way they played over those 2 games, and I think they'll get them with the win 2-0 as well.
Yeah, okay. I'll go 2-1 to the High Bees and we'll see how it all pans out. I'll be up there at that game. And the good news for you, because of PLZ Soccer back for another season, is quite simply that you can subscribe to PLZ Soccer. You'll get great content. Our football show's on 5 days a week now, Ruffy. We're back on 5 days. We have finally just succumbed to the pressure of people saying get more football shows on, and we've got lots of little chat shows in there as well to offer.
Yeah, I mean that's what people want. They want day-to-day content, and we give them that. The interviews that you do, the one-to-ones are particularly good as well.
You wanted back 5 days, Ruffy, because obviously in the summertime, I don't know if you're aware of this, Ruffy, and he never does this because, as you know, Ruffy's all about Ruffy. He phoned and said, can I come over and see you? And I was just sitting watching the telly, and I thought to myself, it's really unusual Ruffy coming over to see us, unless I've gone out. My wife's in on her own, and she said to me, I think he's chucking it. And I thought to myself, I looked at it and I said, I've never thought about that. I said, I think he'll be, as I said to you last season, weekend at Bernie's, just spatula and the flies around his head. But eventually he just come round. He said, I wanted to see the studio and see what the script is for the new season and whether you've decided.
Still got that hunger and desire.
He has at 74, and he said to us, and here's a few names, because obviously I know you're thinking of Ben and Tam. And
that doesn't surprise me.
That's scurrilous.
It's a snake.
And then at my lowest point,
I'll remember that when you're doing Alan's analysis on the touchscreen next year.
Oh no, it's not happening.
Knots and crosses.
And the other bit,
the touchscreen's over there.
And the other down point was I actually asked him, did he want to go to a game?
Yes.
Were you bored of your skill in the summer? Were you? Were you bored of your nut?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to go to a game, but not with him. Anyway, apart from that, Hearts against Aberdeen on the Monday is for me game of the weekend. If you're looking at it, okay, Celtic are unfurling the flag. Rangers fans will be heading to Motherwell, just rubbing their hands, looking and saying, okay, let's see it progress game by game. But Hearts against Aberdeen, it's McManus against his old side, Aberdeen. It's Hearts now suddenly with a fair bit of money from Tony Bloom, and he's made signings.
Yeah, there's a wee bit of hype about Hearts this season, Peter.
Absolutely.
Not just amongst the Hearts fans, it's amongst certain aspects of the media as well. A lot of people are fancying Hearts to go and do well this season and
9 signings.
not only finish third, but maybe push for second. So, yeah, listen, there's money behind them. There's no doubt about that now. I think Derek's their best signing. He's a great manager at this level. How he gels all these players together is going to be the deciding factor if they have a good season or not. But I just think that I'd fancy Hearts in this game purely because they've been playing competitive games. I think at this stage of the season they've got played 4 or 5 League Cup games. Aberdeen playing friendlies. I just feel that will be the edge. I think at home, in front of a full house at Tynecastle as well, that they'll get off to a flyer and beat Aberdeen. It's going to be tough for Aberdeen. I don't think they've got a great record at Tynecastle either. So Derek playing against his old club, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a cracker.
Yeah,
I think there'll be a lot of goals in it.
Going to be a good game. And you mentioned there, of course, Hearts having played some League Cup games, which Derek McManus thinks will give them the edge and the confidence to get into this game.
In terms of getting goals and numerous clean sheets, it's the players should feel good about it. They should feel fit. They're fit. I think they're ready, and scoring plenty of goals and keeping plenty of clean sheets. It's no bad thing. So I think we have to try and take the confidence from that. But like I said, people say, "Oh, you never played them in the League Cup," which is not true. Oh, Sunderland will be a different test. You beat Sunderland, but it doesn't really matter. They're treating it as a friendly, So there's always people, you're always getting judged really, and I think the players should get into the game on Monday. They should be in a good frame of mind. They should be a confident Hearts player going onto the pitch.
He's got 2 players, obviously, he's hoping to get clearance for as well, Pierre Landry Cabor and Thomas Magnuson. But other than that, he's got players in there that he'll be looking at that he inherited. One of them, of course, Lawrence Shanklin, who is a third of the way onto the tally that he achieved last season already, Ruffy.
Yeah, and I think we'll have a better player. I think last year for him was a bit up in the air. I don't know if he could make up his mind whether he wanted to go, and maybe there was bids coming in. So when you're a player like that, you're not 100% concentrating what you're doing on the park. But now they've got him back. He's obviously got a good contract. He's got a good wage. He's comfortable. He's happy. But I think the good thing about Hearts is there's that many players come in. Like at the start of the show, I nearly named you the Celtic team. I don't think the Hearts players all know who he's going to pick. So that gives a wee bit added. Once they get selected and once he reads the team out and you're in that 11, you were playing probably bit games and all the other games, but now you're the manager's thought of that's you. So I think that's to their advantage. I hope the young boy we had at Thistle, Harry Millen, gets a shot. I think he's looking a lot more mature, a lot fitter, and given a run, I think he could be a big player for them.
I like Derek, and I think the difference now, and Tam touched on it there, is the fact that he is a better manager, more rounded and experienced. He's had the long period at Aberdeen where he was still growing as a manager, and eventually he lands a trophy. Probably would have liked to have won more at Aberdeen. He goes then to Kilmarnock and has to get them out of the Championship, and then of course has to try and solidify them in the Scottish Premiership. And it wasn't quite the financial backing that he was hoping for, having to rebuild the side. This time around, I think with all his experience and the fact that he's got a bit of financial clout there at Hearts, I think he's going to do good things. I can't wait for the battle between the two of them in Edinburgh.
Yeah, and as I said, I think obviously Hibs were the top dogs last season, and I hope that's the same again this season. But I think it'll certainly be a lot closer, and I don't think you'll see Hearts in the bottom 6 this year. I think there's certainty for the top 6, but Hibs have been there as well. So listen, I'm really looking forward to the game. Aberdeen, signed a few players as well, spent a few quid, which is great to see. Scottish Cup winners, that's got to give them massive confidence in this first game.
Are you surprised they let Papagay go? He sold him
I thought he was one of the difference makers in the final. I thought him coming on and running that way, caused Celtic a lot of problems. When he came on for Kevin Nisbet, I think in the final, he gave Aberdeen some legs and some pace in behind. So I don't think he'd probably been a starter every week. So I think if Aberdeen, I think they got a good fee for him, maybe £900 million. They can go and reinvest that in the team. But listen, it's Jimmy Tilleen's second season in Scottish football. He had a really good first season. He had a flying start and finished
topsy-turvy.
A flying start, and overall, Peter, you think, top 4, top 5, and then win the Scottish Cup. I think that constitutes a good season for Aberdeen. So I think the Aberdeen fans will be excited to see what he does in the second year.
Yeah, 6 signings, Ruffy. I'm looking and thinking this is the big judgment, because it's amazing how one game, and I thought, fair play to Aberdeen, great the way they went about their business against Celtic. I thought they were well deserving of their cup win, and the celebrations that followed were sensational for them going down Union Street. This time around, I think Don's fans will probably be happier if it's not so erratic.
No, but they want to kick on. Their lasting memory of the year is winning a cup. And at the start of the season, they're going to be saying, right, let's kick-start the season with a good run. They won't want that bad run they had last year. I think they went under the radar a wee bit. Okay, yeah, they've signed 6 or 7 players, but nobody's talking about them. I think Hearts are obviously stole the show, with the players that they've brought in and the results that they've had. So I think this game's a marker. I know it's the first game of the season, but I think if either of the two of them win it comfortably, it could be a marker for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And
I think if Hearts were to win 3-0, you would go, well, this could be the year. I mean, you've already mentioned maybe splitting the big two, but we don't know how good and what the finish article is of the big two.
Let's not be silly on splitting the big two right now. Let's not go early. Remember, we're not predicting who's going to win and who's going to get relegated until the window closes on September 1st. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that? Why not give us your thoughts? Are you just going to go gung-ho and tell us who's going to win the league, who's going to be in the playoff, who's going to be relegated? We'd love to hear from you. Incidentally, thank you to so many of you who are back with us for the new season. Spread the word near and far. You can hit the subscribe button, join the football family here at PLZ Soccer on our YouTube channel. If you want to show us your full support, why not subscribe, and you'll get lots of competitions, lots of prizes, lots of extra content. We are going to give you special stuff on this channel because, as you're aware, YouTube is now the big commercial channel in the UK. It's the biggest, and globally as well. So many people now are watching YouTube. We've been here, Ruffy, for 13 years on our channel. We've got so many great supporters who've subscribed, and we want them to go to PLZ Premium. Why bother paying other license fees? You can join PLZ and get your feed every day of the week.
Yeah, I think that's what most of the guys we meet outside, that's all they talk about is the content and everything that we give them, and it's I'm sure it's another avenue they can log into.
Yeah, I'm going Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1.
2-0 Hearts.
2-0 Hearts.
Okay, there you go. Brilliant from you two on that. Okay, a couple of games that I want to get your thoughts on as well, which we haven't been able to talk about so far. Falkirk against Dundee United. The Bairns fans will be out there in force. They are now a Premiership side, and I'm sure Jamie Swinney and all the backroom board members cannot believe it. It's brilliant. They'll be buying their shirts, and they'll be hoping that John McGlynn can keep them in the division. Are we going to see the same Falkirk that played so well in the Championship being able to replicate that style in the Premiership?
I hope so, Peter. Well, I know they'll play the same way. I think that John McGlynn and Paul Smith have been very successful in the way they've played. They've come up through the divisions. They've played the same way. They went to Celtic Park last season, played the same way. So I think if you've got the bottle and the confidence to go there and do it, you'll do it against anyone. And I just like to see them successful. I enjoy watching Falkirk, enjoy the way they play. They've got a lot of really technical, talented players in their team. Dundee United coming back from a long trip from Luxembourg, probably a good time to get them, you would think. And with that big crowd behind them, I think there's the season ticket sales have went through the roof. I think they're only offering maybe 700 or 800 away fans every game at home. So stadium's going to be the bulk of that's going to be Falkirk, the excitement of the flag and all that. I think Falkirk can pull off a minor shock and beat the team that finished in the top 5 last season. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Falkirk.
Yeah, against Dundee United. The good thing about Dundee United, Robbie, it's a great chance for people to flock to the stadium to see foreign players because it's a full team of them.
Yeah, I remember the early days at Partick Thistle when we used to sign a foreign player. That player's flag went up at the top of the stand.
Yeah.
You know, and any foreign player. So it'd be interesting to see if Dundee United go down that road. You have to buy a few flags.
Have to buy a new stand. Listen, Jim Goodwin, and I'm tongue-in-cheek here, but Jim Goodwin, I think, deserves tremendous credit for what he's achieved with Dundee United. Remember, he wasn't flavour of the month in Dundee to start with. I think that Dundee's a strange place for not really liking too many people. I think the only people they really embraced at the start
didn't
was...
like me when I played with Dundee either.
Well, exactly, because your name didn't end in O, like Fabian Caballero, and anything in a vowel they liked. Ravanelli and Claudio Canigia. But this Dundee United side, Jim Goodwin's only concern is trying to keep them in the division, and if he can replicate what he did last season, and by the way, let's not forget, Ruffy, a good win against Unastrassen.
Yeah, and obviously the thing I was really surprised about was the way the Dundee United supporters have hung in there. I thought it was a fantastic atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, when you get a Dundee United team that are doing well, supporters buy into at the stadium bouncing, and the big support away from home as well. So, yeah, I think to get back to signing players, and I'd love to know how you identify 11 foreign players.
Not Scottish players.
Yeah. How do you do that?
I just think that there's maybe a premium on Scottish players now in terms of wages and fees, and I think when you go abroad you can get maybe a cheaper, better player.
Any chance of developing your own?
Yeah, I think Dundee United have always been a club that's done that, but I think it's getting harder now, Peter, with obviously the Brexit rules. A lot of the younger players at Dundee and Dundee United and Hearts and Hibs are going to England before they're 18, and that's stopping the flow of young players into the first team.
Guess who they're playing in the Conference League coming up, Ruffy? A name, every time I hear it, just sends a chill down my spine.
True?
No. No, good shout though. They're playing Rapid Vienna.
Oh.
You know,
Dirty team.
or as I call them, Rapid Vienna Boo. But good luck to Jim Goodwin. Dundee United, okay. What are you going for there?
1 each.
2-1 Falkirk.
2-1 Falkirk?
Yeah, going to Burns.
Okay, I think it's going to be 2 each. Okay, the other one is Killie with a new manager in Stuart Kettlewell. Obviously a chance for him for a full season now in charge to try and work his magic down there at Rugby Park.
Yeah, I think any time we've had Stuart in, he's been very educational. He thinks 100% about the game. You know, he's big, thinks about it all the time, and you can see that in his interviews. And I'm sure the people at Kilmarnock will be happy with what they get, and I'm sure the players will enjoy what he gives to them.
And I think also David Martindale, another person who was on the show, I think some people, and I hope Davey is able to replicate some of the football that I watched them play in the Championship last season. They played some really nice football, and when you've got guys like Macaulay Tate who can take it off the back four and build as well, you know, I like the look of them.
Yeah, they both played each other in the League Cup section. I think Kilmarnock won 1-0, and I think they were fortunate on the night to win that game. I think Livingston were really unlucky. I think the Strychek, I think the goalkeeper for Kilmarnock had a great game, and I think that Livingston will go down there hoping to reverse that. I think this looks probably the tightest game on paper. I think it's a tough one to call. But again, I think Livingston will be fine this season. I think you always get a bounce when you win the league. You've seen it last season with Dundee United. You get a wee bounce into that league, you can go and do well. And I think that they'll cause a wee bit of an upset as well. Go for Livingston to win 2-1.
Yeah, Ruffy?
No, I think it's a sit in the fence one each.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Ruffy. I think it might be a draw. Listen, congratulations to Celtic. They'll be unfurling the flag. Congratulations to Falkirk. They'll also be unfurling the Championship flag from last season. And congratulations to you for finding us once again at PLZ Soccer. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Come and join the football family. There's so much to enjoy. This month, if you subscribe to PLZ Premium, you get a chance to win the Napoli replica top with Scott McTominay's name and number on the back. He was the man of the moment last season, winning the Serie A in Italy. You can win that top. There'll be countless prizes on offer. We're also going to offer you lots of content on PLZ Premium as well. We'd love you to back us and give us the chance to show you some new reporters, give you extended coverage, and of course, all sorts of different programmes. Tam himself is going to be on the right-hand side of this studio, Tam. There is an area we've built specially for you to give us an even greater insight into Scottish football.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Peter. I think it's something new. It's, going talking about tactics and formations and that, and it's something that a lot of supporters want to hear now. They're not just interested in just turning out a game. They want to hear what ex-players, ex-managers think about the game and how they go about their business and how teams play, and try and get a wee bit of inside knowledge from that. So hopefully I can supply some of that amongst the other guests you've got coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. And there will be lots of guests for you to enjoy. Great chat. We'll bring a bit of fun to it. Hopefully you'll enjoy the humour. You'll certainly get opinion on every one of our programmes, and you'll get our reporters up and down the country bringing you a reaction, previewing the games as well, right across all our social media. If you get a chance, follow us on X and TikTok as well. We'll be bringing you a lot of our content on TikTok this season, as well as asking you to join us on YouTube. Enjoy the football. Scottish football is back. If you get a chance, get out there and support your team. If you're neutral and you're thinking, what am I going to do on a Saturday, a Sunday and a Monday? Well, the times of the games kicking off, it's all over the place. Get out there and support Scottish football if you can. And let's not forget Championship, League 1 and League 2 to look forward to as well. PLZ Soccer is back with you in hand, from Ruffy, from Tam, from myself, Peter Martin, and all our backroom team. Great to have you back with us. Thank you for listening and watching.